It's an exciting time for fans of the action RPG genre. With highly anticipated titles like Diablo 4 and Path of Exile 2 on the horizon, there are already innovative games taking the genre by storm. One of those games is Last Epoch, a unique ARPG that features a time travel concept unlike anything you've seen before. In Last Epoch, you'll journey and battle your way through the ages, uncover secrets, and face wrathful gods from different eras. This thrilling concept is brought to life with engaging graphics, in-depth character building, a loot system done right, and exceptionally smooth gameplay. In this video, I'll be sharing my first impressions of this interesting ARPG, which is currently playable in beta version 0.9. While there are many things that are noteworthy about Last Epoch, there are also some aspects that I found to be lacking. I'll cover both the positives and negatives to give you a comprehensive picture of what the game has to offer. And if you are interested in more RPG content just like this, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Let's start with the 5 classes available in Last Epoch. These are Sentinel, Rogue, Mage, Primalist, and Acolyte. Each one of these classes can advance to one of their 3 masteries. For instance, the Sentinel can ascend to Void Knight, Forge Guard, or Paladin, while the Mage has the options of Sorcerer, Spellblade, and Rune Master. As the game is still in beta, 3 out of 15 masteries aren't accessible yet, which shouldn't be a significant issue considering the diversity the exciting masteries make for. So far I've had the chance to play as the Mage and the Rogue, and I'm impressed with the diverse gameplay experience the different classes offer. The Mage has very cool looking elemental abilities that make for different ailments, whilst relying on teleports and wards for its defense. The Rogue on the other hand has very swift abilities and goes in and out of battle to defend itself through the use of tools such as decoys and smoke bombs. I think the classes are done right in Last Epoch, and I can only wonder what the other classes are like. But there is one thing in this window I'm not a fan of, which are the character models. They look like rubber and they make me think of a bunch of tires stacked on top of each other. The character models, in just one word, look weird, and unfortunately this feeling persisted as I advanced through the game, which is a bummer because it takes away from the immersiveness you have in the game. In RPGs, you typically want to make your character your own or relate to it as you build it and make it stronger. But of course, this is subjective and you might feel very differently about it. Nonetheless, it's only one of the many aspects of the game, and I can confidently say it's not a make or break type of factor. What matters more in ARPGs are the character build possibilities, and one of the strongest aspects of Last Epoch is its in-depth character building systems, which offer players a wide range of possibilities to craft their own unique characters. At the core of your build is the passive skill tree, which allows players to invest points not only in their base class and their chosen mastery, but also partially in the trees of the other 2 masteries. Another key system is skills and specializations. Players can select up to 5 skills and level them up, earning points to further enhance and customize their abilities. This system allows players to transform each skill, making them look and function differently from their original form. In addition to traditional gear such as weapons, armors and jewels, Last Epoch's additional idol system also provides players with a set of slots to equip powerful, unique items with a range of perks, which allows for even more customization and differentiation of characters. As a forward system, there are these things called blessings, which are various buffs that you can select once you start clearing content in the end game. Aside from gear, that's 4 different systems that help you build your character, and although in-depth character building might scare some players off because they think it will get too complicated, I have to say I found these systems very easy to get used to, and I'm very sure you will too. Let's talk about another important aspect of ARPGs, the loot and the banking systems. This is yet another thing that Last Epoch does extremely well. In fact, it's hard to imagine it can get any better than this. The UI and UX is top-notch and simply the best I've ever seen. This game really makes you wonder why other games can't or won't do the same. Without going into it too much, item drops initially feel very fun, and it becomes even better when you use the inbuilt loot filter to customize drops to your personal interests and your needs. Where other ARPGs, such as Path of Exile, rely on external sources to have a decent loot experience, Last Epoch once again goes the extra mile to make sure players have a good experience without having to resort to external means. And not only with its loot filter, but also its sort items feature, both in your inventory and your bank. something that I was really missing in other RPGs. There's also the possibility to transfer your crafting items out of your inventory with just a single click, and finally the highly customizable player banks with various visual features. Once again, Last Epoch did the whole loot and banking systems 100% correctly. For the so many positive things I've mentioned so far, now is a negative one, which is the story, campaign and leveling experience. Now this once again is something subjective, as your opinion may heavily differ, but the way I experienced the story was that I pretty much didn't care for it from the beginning. I made a new character and started over to give it another chance, which only confirmed that I was right, as the story just seemed uninteresting. Which is a bummer, because as you advance throughout the campaign, there are things that do seem interesting. But having missed out on what the story initially is about, you're not likely to suddenly care for it later in the game. Things that contributed to an uninteresting story early on were lack of voice acting and very boring dialogues that felt very standard. For a game that has an innovative concept in the form of time travel, and one that separates itself from other RPGs because of it, it truly is a bummer that things start out this way. As for leveling, unfortunately, it's one of those experiences where it just feels like a long, unnecessary tutorial until you reach the end game, pretty much the Lost Ark leveling experience, which isn't the worst thing when done on one character, as a bit of unmeaningful grind is expected, but when you plan to play multiple characters and classes, this negative is something you won't be looking forward to. The game, however, does a good job of explaining the controls and systems as you advance throughout your journey. Back to something positive, the gameplay. Holy, the gameplay just feels so smooth. I just feel like I never want to stop playing because of how smooth and immersive the combat is. In fact, it's so smooth, I just can't get used to abilities triggering instantly the moment you use them. Many hours later, I still feel like double checking whether my decoy went off, because it feels like the action happens before I even press the key. Combat is definitely a strong suit of this game and something that makes it worth playing. As for the graphics, without including the character models, the zone, level and monster designs all look immensely good. I especially like how there are multiple dimensions to the different zones and that sometimes you will find yourself going through them. Something really unique about this game is that you will travel through the different eras until you reach the end of time, and whilst doing so, we'll visit the same places in different timelines. A unique, noteworthy concept that I found to be very interesting and enjoyable. Traveling through time is also done very easily and smoothly because of the access to your map from anywhere you go. With just a couple clicks, you can be wherever you want to be in whatever timeline you wish to go. Alright, let's summarize what's good about Last Epoch. The game has a unique time travel concept that's integrated seamlessly into the gameplay. The game also offers in-depth character building through various systems that aren't overwhelming. With an integrated loot filter, the loot and banking systems is one that many ARPGs could take example to. Combined with the top-notch UI and UX, it's undoubtedly the best there's out there. And finally, the smooth gameplay of the different classes makes you want to play and never stop, which might be a con if you have addiction problems. As for the bats, I have to start off with the character models. They just look weird, which is unfortunate because it's the only visually noticeable thing that is a negative. Also, the story starts off very weak with a huge lack of voice acting and boring dialogue, but it does seem to get better as you advance. But if you lose a player's interest in something early on, especially something that requires investment such as the story, it's hard to recover and regain interest. Now, I haven't touched on the multiplayer features and experience as that was only recently implemented, and I don't think it's fair to criticize that as it's still in the works, but it's good to know that you can form a party of up to 4 players and tackle the game together. These features are still a bit slow and contain bugs as of making this video, but given everything else that's done correctly, I'm confident the multiplayer features will also function properly once the game goes live. A couple positives I can share about it through my experience is that you can start playing the game together from the start of the campaign, which is just great if you wish to explore the game with friends, and also you can easily teleport to party members by right-clicking on their name and creating a portal to them. So is Last Epoch a game worth buying and playing now already? In my opinion, it depends on what you want from this game. If you simply wish to play a great ARPG now already and have a good time, the answer is a very straightforward yes. However, from my findings, any character created during the beta will eventually transfer as an offline character which might influence your decision. If you wish to create a character that will always exist in the online realm, perhaps it's a better idea to hold off for now and wait for the game to go live. I hope you found my first impressions video to be helpful. If you enjoyed it, please support the video with a like and consider sharing your thoughts about Last Epoch in the comments below. Also, feel free to subscribe to my channel if you want more RPG content in the future.